Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm Dear Darling, and shall we see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhallow today, where we'll be relaxing as per usual. Just recording now, before D&D session later today, which I'm sure is going to be much to the chagrin of the players. Especially, sorry, I'm moving away from my mic, especially if today ends up being a very, very interesting session, so I guess I'll talk about it tomorrow, but it's mainly because I am super behind on recording videos, so I don't have a full set of videos for this week. I have the first 3 days, and I have nothing more, so I need to record something afterwards, probably. And if not, then it'll be on Tuesday, we'll see. Hello everyone, right now in Fawnhallow, 6:05 PM on Monday, June 9th, 2025. The plus side is I'm pretty sure I'm free basically this weekend, so I actually have time to both stream and record, hopefully. I'm not saying it was a bad thing that I was busy this other weekend, this previous weekend, because it was really, really genuinely a lot of fun. A lot of the stuff we did, so the other thing I was going to talk about, which is the main thing, which I mentioned a little bit yesterday, but we'll now bring up properly today, and I think I've spoken about this before, but I'm talking about the Crystal Maze. Sorry, not right now, Rowan. I mean, I guess we could, but it's probably a bit weird. The Crystal Maze, if you don't know, is, I'm pretty sure it's just a British game show? Let's see. The Crystal Maze, like, what I mean by that is, like, I don't think it was released in, like, America or overseas or anything. I don't think it was remade. But yes, it was, yeah, it's a game show. Oh, okay, based upon the format for a French game show, Fort Boyard, which was also a show which, well, not only was French, but I remember watching when I was younger in the UK, but essentially what it is, it's a game show where you're in a team and you have to do challenges. Every challenge you win gets you some reward, which allows you a longer time in the final challenge, essentially. It's, if you, I think this is, let's see, what's it called? Jungle Run is another UK show, which is basically the kids version of the Crystal Maze. But yeah, it's been around for a while. It was, came out like 1990s or something. I don't really know, but anyway, but the long and short of it, it's a fun show, and I feel like I've spoken about it before, and I speak about it a bit more now, but there is a live experience that they had in London, which I did with a few friends as a part for my friend's, like, birthday celebration. Essentially, we were thinking of, like, what would be a fun sort of experience to do, and as I spoke about yesterday, we did, like, a sort of treasure trail thing as the main sort of project, and then it would be like, well, what does this kind of feel like? You know, this friend likes to do these fun experience, like, different experience like things, likes the escape rooms style things as well, but we've done so many escape rooms before that it's like, let's try and do something a bit different. And initially, like, so we were looking up with these different experiences and, like, these workshops and things, which would have been cool, but we're just like, we're not sure if it really feels right. We saw that it was a Squid Game one. We were like, oh, that seems kind of cool. And then it was all VR, and we were like, okay, no, thank you. At least that's what the London one looks like. I don't actually know if that's genuinely true or not, because this photo here makes it look like it's not in VR. Huh. There might have been two different ones. There might have been one which was VR and one which was not VR. If so, then we should definitely do the non-VR one, if that's possible. Which, I don't know, but it certainly feels like there's a lot of a dystopian feel to the fact that you're doing something which is basically a criticism of capitalism and the exploitation of it, and then also just doing it like this, you know? I don't know, I guess we'll look into that. But at least when we looked up, we was like, oh, it's VR, let's not do that. And Crystal Maze, and we're like, okay, you know, pretty sure I've spoken about Crystal Maze with a friend before, and I actually heard very good things about this Crystal Maze experience. And I can say it genuinely is a lot of fun. It's basically a glammed up escape room, is probably how I'd put it. There's bits, it's different, I think, to an escape room, but there's parts of a lot of it which feels a lot more, like, better in format for an experience perspective. You might be like, what do you mean by that? But essentially, the format of Crystal Maze is there are 4 different regions, so 4 zones, and you basically go into each zone and you'll do 3 different games. Each game, or 3 to 5 games, I suppose. Each game features one person doing it, and then the rest of the team can, in the show not so much, but in this live experience at least, everyone can watch on and everyone can communicate and that sort of thing. In the actual show, sometimes you have to do it solo, like you can't communicate or something else like that. I forget that my Discord OBS streamer mode does not seem to work naturally. So let me just put that on. And that's like, I'm not gonna spoil games until I get to the very end, but other thing, because I feel like it's, if people are wanting to go, they shouldn't know about what the games are necessarily beforehand. But yes. We had a lovely host as well who really kept things moving. She had a really nice, fun personality as well. We were a group of 4, and we were paired up with this other group of 2 who were from tourists from America, and they were super lovely as well. To make a group of 6, apparently you can go up to a group of 8. I can't imagine doing 8 people, I think, because it feels like you would get so few games played. So that's kind of thing. We played, I think we had a group of 6, but only 5 of us did games because one person didn't want to do a game, essentially. And each of us, I think, did 3 games each. There might have been someone who only did 2 games, but I can't think what 2 games there would have been. Or I've forgotten what one of the games are. But yeah, we basically go to each zone, we would do some amount of games, and then we move on. And if you succeed, you get a crystal, and if you don't succeed, you don't get a crystal. And if you really don't succeed, as in you lose all your lives, basically, in a game, if it's relevant, or if you don't exit by the time the time is up, then you lose a crystal, essentially. The way we did astonishingly well, looking at the average stats that they've given them, a little booklet thing, because apparently the average for a team of 8 is 6 crystals, and we got technically we got 12, but I'm pretty sure we actually got 13 crystals, but one of them was lost in the count, and I didn't realise till afterwards. Which is over double with far less players. But we were just really, really good. We had almost a perfect streak. The first game was the only game I believe we didn't win. And it was genuinely so close. I was speaking with a friend afterwards. Basically, it was it's not sort of puzzle, but it was basically we had to work out an answer to something, and I was like, if I had 20 or 30 more seconds, I think I would have got it. Because I was towards the end, I was it's on the tip of my tongue. It's sudden, there was a sudden ring of clarity in my mind from what it was, but I won't disclose necessarily what that is until the very end. So it was a really nice sort of balance, because the thing with escape rooms, unless you're a very small team, a lot of the time you're all kind of doing your own individual thing, and you don't really get sights on what other people are doing until you come back together. So there's been plenty of times where we've done an escape room where I think I've escaped every escape room I've been in. Not to brag or anything, but there's been plenty of times where I'm I had no idea what that puzzle even was, either because I didn't even find it, and someone else found it, and someone else solved it in the time that I was doing something else. I didn't interact with it, because you try and sort of balance out exactly who does what, and a lot of the times I'm not often, or I like to get a sort of grand overview of things and sort of be hey, what high level things we need to do, or the third thing being there's just too many people already doing it, I don't need to interact with this. And I'm okay with watching things a lot of the time. I'm much more the person in the chair, I suppose, rather than the hand. What's the counter to person in the chair? The man on the ground? Is that what it's called? I can't remember. So it doesn't bother me too much not actively doing that sort of thing, but it does not actively bother me, but it does make me go, I feel like I missed out if it was this is a puzzle which I wasn't even aware was a thing. Because I didn't see it, I didn't find the exploration portion, or we had to do 2 things simultaneously, etc, etc. And in some ways it does work. We did do an escape room where the party was split into 2, and we had different rooms. That where it's specifically crafted with that in mind, I think works quite well. But for things where it's a sort of open-ended, then it kind of feels like a bit of a shame. And especially if you have really large parties, then it's okay, yeah, I've done an escape room with 8 people before. I did 1 puzzle, I think. But Crystal Maze at least does it a bit better, where yes, only one person is doing the puzzle, true, but everyone else gets to watch and also partake in the puzzle at the same time. You're just not the one actively controlling it. So for a physical puzzle or whatever, some things you can't really contribute to, but you can sort of cheer people on, and it's kind of you're doing it and you don't actually have to do the work. For mental ones, it's a lot more collaborative. It's a lot easier to be collaborative per se. And then for other sort of based ones, skill based ones, you can sort of talk about things which require strategy or might be of assistance, you know. So it sort of does encourage a sort of collaborative aspect where it's more like a crowd, sort of like someone's doing something and everyone else gets to cheer them on. It's kind of like the vibe it promotes, which feels quite nice for an escape room. I think if a party was much bigger, it probably would feel a bit bad because that means you would do far less things maybe than an actual escape room. But we also, you know, the time we took in there was about, from start to finish, was about 2.5-ish hours, I think. Now, that wasn't 2.5 hours of doing activities. There was a lot of like traversal in between, some sort of patter in between, like taking photos and that sort of thing. But the actual experience itself, I think, was 1.5 hours, maybe. 1 hour, no, probably about. It's probably encroaching on 2 hours. But we did 15 challenges, and each challenge being about 2 minutes. So that's like half an hour of actively doing something. But there's a lot of things which go in between, which can make it sort of feel quite fun as well. Yeah, so, and it was, I would say, it was basically double the price of an escape room. Like, I think it was like 70 something pounds per ticket, or escape rooms I normally expect to go from like 20 to 30 something pounds. So it was definitely more expensive, but it was genuinely a lot of fun. And I think part of it is also that it felt a lot more seamless, because there's a lot of times in escape rooms where we've done something and something breaks. Oh no, you know, it happens. But this one, a lot of it was controlled, I suppose, by the actual host themselves. The host actively being there the entire time, rather than an escape room where the host sort of checks in every now and then, made it a lot smoother, you know. The host, she was pretty good. She sort of like gauge out how people were doing, like, oh, do you need a bit more, some clues? And she sort of does that like in an encouraging way, because that's kind of what happens in the Crystal Maze. And also she found out very quickly that it was like, oh, this group is completely fine by themselves, we don't really need many clues. So she sort of like took a step back. And then I ended up just like having a conversation with her during one of the puzzles, I think. Yeah, and she was actually really cool. She was a lovely person, great personality. She let us like even look at like some of the other rooms and stuff about. There was like one of the challenges which was basically taken from the actual show itself. Like it was a literal version, and she was like, oh yeah, you know, while there's other challenges going on, you can have a go at doing that if you'd like. And we were like, awesome, let's do it. We took a lot of photos. It was a great time. So yeah, it was just genuinely very, very positive experience. I think the challenges in themselves are all pretty reasonable, I think. Like, hold on. I bought like, at the end you can buy, hold on. Let me not talk while you can't hear me, but at the end you can basically buy these photos, or whatever, like photos that you've had throughout time. I chose one of the entire group photos because I thought they were like a lot of fun. But they also got the map of like all the potential different puzzles and activities you can do. Which is certainly pretty cool. And I think we did 14 or 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We did 14 that I can remember. But we might have done another one, but I can't remember it if we did. And we got 60 minutes on the clock at the end, which doesn't really make sense because I'm pretty sure we only failed one. We might have failed 2, but I don't remember what the other one we failed would have been. So if it got lost in count, doesn't matter. I mean, that's only 5 seconds because each crystal... I don't know if I said this. Every time you beat a challenge, you get a crystal which is worth 5 seconds. And then the final challenge is essentially you are in a big dome and then like gold paper and silver paper flying everywhere. You have to catch them and sort of like chuck them in the post box. So yeah, I'm not going to spoil everything about what happens in these puzzles because I'm sure, like with an escape room, I don't want to spoil the puzzles within. But I'll talk vaguely about them. And our host was very nice as well, that she let us get some sort of sneak peeks as well. I think it's probably because one of the people, to be fair, she was just kind of there because like her granddaughter, or grandchild I should say, was with them and doing challenges. They were just kind of there to, I don't know, be a guardian, right? And she was totally okay with not doing any of the challenges. So I think the host was trying to be a bit accommodating, being like, oh, if you want to do challenges, you know, I can let you have a bit of a preview to see what's going on first. So, we did in the industrial zone. I think these are ones we did. No, we started off in medieval. We did Wake Up Mumsy, which was the first one we did, and we failed. That one is sort of like identifying music, is what I would say. And I was very, very annoyed at myself that I didn't get the one we missed. because I was like, I was so close. Like, I was playing the last bit of a tune in my head again, being like, I know I've heard this before. What is this? We also did, I think, Knight's Fetch, which was kind of like a dexterity game. Oh yeah, I forgot to say, Crystal Maze has physical, skill, mental, mystery games. I think we're mostly self-explanatory. That was basically kind of like a carnival game. We did Spikes of Death, which was a physical, surprisingly, it was just like a straight up bouldering game. And we chose a person who does bouldering, or did do a decent amount of bouldering before, so it was like perfect fit. Do we only do free medieval? Maybe. I don't remember. Then we went to the Future Zone. This is like, I don't think I did any challenges there. So I did, what was the first one I did? I think I did Hive Mind, which was basically sort of like a tile arrangement puzzle, is probably how I describe it. My friend did Simpson's Glove, I believe, which was basically sort of like passing a ball back and forth. But getting a ball to the end of the obstacle course, but you can't see the obstacle course is perhaps how I'd say it. Alien Operation Morse Code, I don't think we did those. Mandroid, that was like what our new friend did, which was basically sort of like a reaction-based maze, is kind of how I describe it. Emojroid, that's one I did. It was basically just a quiz. It was one of those emoji quizzes, like, what do these emojis describe? And Laser Assault Course, that's another one my friend did. That was actually quite a cool looking one. Oh yeah, one physical criticism I have of experiences, it was very difficult to see in some of the challenges what was going on, because they had like a clear glass, but obviously it's been like dirtied up over the years, or scratched up or dinged up, which made some of them very difficult to watch. Like, I was like, I can't see what's going on. So yeah, my friend did a Laser Assault Course. Then we went to the Aztec Zone, where my friend did a wobble board. That was the one which is actually from the show, apparently. By the way, he like absolutely killed it, because he did the first try and was like, oh, that was way too fast. Second try, got it in. He completed it. I gave it a try later. It took me 4 tries to do so, and I was just like, oh my word. My friend absolutely killed it. We did Sun God, which was Riddles, I think? Oh no, this is the last one we did. Oh, I'm missing one. Because Funnel Weaver. Oh yes, okay, so we definitely did one more puzzle. So we did 3 each. I don't know which one it is though. I think it's Tombstones, but I'm not sure. Which is basically another sort of like riddle-y one. Would it have been Tombstones? I'm trying to think. It's... Okay, so it definitely wasn't any of those. So it's got to be one of those 3. Either Offering, Tombstones, or Scales of Truth. I think it must have been Tombstones. That's the only one which makes sense to me. Okay, so there we go. Mystery solved. Because I was like, I'm pretty sure all of us did 3. But I've only got 14 ticked here. So Tombstones was basically... Sun God was basically riddles. Tombstones was basically kind of like a puzzle sort of linking one. And Funnel Weaver was a crazy one. It looked so difficult. It was basically what I can describe as like a laser... The equivalent of a laser maze. You basically had to navigate through a maze, but there are bells attached to some of the ropes. If you touch a rope and make the bell ring, you get locked in after you do it 3 times. That one we didn't do. That one the person who joined us from America did. And they absolutely wrecked it. That was when I was doing wobble board, so I didn't see most of it. But I came back and they had like rung 2 bells, and they were like just made it to the end. But they somehow made it back without ringing any more, so they did very well. Industrial Zone. Did we only do 3? We did Crossword. That was one of my friends did. It was about spinning blocks and making sure that both sides had valid words. Traffic Lights, another friend did, which was basically like, it's kind of like a marble run, and you had to just move things to make sure that the balls were caught properly. And then I did Worldwide Strategy, which was basically a memory game, essentially. It was actually like Extinguish All the Lights, if you've seen it in Crystal Maze. I actually remember that one, because that one appeared so many times, and I always got very frustrated at the contestants because they never properly like learned how to do it. I don't think we did any of the others. I don't recognise any of the others. But yeah, that's what we did. And it was a wonderful, wonderful time. Yeah, so 6 crystals for a team of 8 players. So technically we should have got 14. We should have got 70 seconds in there. Maybe it only goes up to 60 seconds, I don't know. 140 is the number of gold tokens collected by a team of 8 players. So we had a team of 6 actually, because the grandmother did participate in this one. But we got 203, I believe, which is absolutely crazy. We demolished it. Apparently Wobbleboard in Aztec Zone has the fewest victories, and my friend did it in 2. And Medieval Zone is our hardest win zone, which, you know, checks out with us because that was the only one where we lost one. Yeah, so I guess it must max out at 1 minute. Yeah, I even got some of the gold tickets because, maybe this is TMI, but literally, like, when I was changing into my pajamas, shall I say, that night, I found 2 more tickets. So I was like, okay, interesting. Fun facts. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, but fun facts are just more to do with the show than the actual experience itself. But yeah, it's a really, really fun time, to be honest. Which Maze Master are you? Should I do that? Which zone are you most likely to hide in? Future, Medieval, or Aztec? Probably Future. Are you Team Captain Material? Of course. Christina or Brittany? I don't know who that is. Christina or Brittany? Oh, Christina Aguilera or Britney Spears, right? Brittany, maybe? And Richard O'Brien. Richard O'Brien. Who's Ed Tudor-Pole? Oh, no, I do remember Ed Tudor-Pole. Wild stuff. Anyway, Crystal Maze experience, very fun time. Must be kind of like what it was like in the show. But just lower stakes because you don't want people to be locked in. So, if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares, greatly appreciated. Socials, Discord down below. Hope to see each other again, but for now, it's our farewells. Until next time, bye-bye for now.